Welcome, sci-fi movie nerds, to another episode of The Weekly Show. This is Weekly Show number 5, and it's Sci-Fi Movie Guy. My name is Mike. So, we're going to start off, as we always do, with Star Wars news. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is Kristian Harloff from Collider Video and Collider Jedi Council has been immortalized in Star Wars canon. That's right, one of my favorite guys on the internet, Kristian Harloff, has been immortalized in Star Wars canon. He has had a planet named after him called Harloff Minor in Claudia Gray's new book, Bloodlines. So this is really exciting news, being a Star Wars fan myself. Every Star Wars nerd's dream is to be immortalized in canon in one way or another, and he has been immortalized with a planet being named after him. So Kristian, congratulations. That is amazing news for you and your family. Couldn't be happier for you. And just in case you don't know, Claudia Gray also wrote the book Lost Stars, which I'm in the middle of reading right now. But we're going to talk about Bloodlines because it's coming out this week and definitely worth grabbing. I've already seen some reviews on it. And basically this story takes place 6 years before The Force Awakens. So we're going to find out a lot of things that we had questions about in The Force Awakens. Things like, how long has Luke been on that island? Well, they tell you. I'm not going to tell you. Read the book. But also things like, why is there First Order, New Republic, and a Resistance? If you have the government and you have the evil First Order, why do you need a Resistance as well? It's a political thriller. It talks about a lot of the politics in Star Wars that we didn't get in The Force Awakens. Now, I know a lot of people complained about the prequels and there was too much politics. I would have liked a happy medium in The Force Awakens with a little bit of the politics to explain all that, but now we're getting it in the books. So I'm okay with that. Claudia Gray is a fantastic writer, and I'm excited to read this book. Now, in case you don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, I like to read audiobooks, so it's not really reading. I do a lot of traveling for work, so I listen to these audiobooks while I'm on the road, and you can download them at Audible, which is a company on Amazon. So Audible Books, and download your books and read these Star Wars novels. So next story is Pablo Hidalgo has confirmed that Supreme Leader Snoke is not in Rogue One. I'm very happy about this. I didn't want to see anyone from The Force Awakens in Rogue One. I want it to be a true prequel to A New Hope, and I want it to be a war film. I'm excited about Darth Vader being in it. That's going to be amazing. I can't wait for the first trailer to drop. They're saying it's probably going to drop at D23. I think they might even drop it sooner than that, maybe on May the 4th, with May the 4th be with you. But we're going to get a Rogue One, the full trailer, very soon. And I really hope Darth Vader's in it. Maybe some breathing, or maybe just the helmet, or a shadow. But I hope it's there. So that's my story on Rogue One. Now, Mads Mickleson, also in Rogue One, has confirmed that he will be playing GIN ERSO's father. Now, I don't think he was supposed to do this because Disney doesn't like to release a lot of news about the Star Wars films. So, again, are you going to tell Hannibal Lecter that he can't do this? No. He'll do whatever he wants. But I don't know if this really makes a difference to us watching the film anyway, because we're probably going to find out that he's playing her father in the first 10 or 20 minutes. And people were starting to create rumors about, oh, who is this new Jin's character's parents? Is she related to Rey? Could she be Rey's mother? So I think they've squashed that by saying, no, Mads Mikkelsen is playing her father. And I'm okay with that. I didn't need to wonder who two new characters' parents were. I just want to focus on Force Awakens and Star Wars Episode 8 and whose Rey's parents are. Now, I did on my weekly show number 4 last week. This is weekly show number 5. On number 4, I talked about some Star Wars 8 spoilers and the possible leak of who Rey's parents are. So please go back and watch episode 4, weekly show number 4, if you want to get that those scoops. And we're going to go right into our next Star Wars story, which is Variety also released some set photos from episode 8. So these are some really cool photos. There's a photo of an X-Wing fighter. There's a photo of the Millennium Falcon, and really great photos. But they also had a little story about Rian Johnson on there, saying Rian Johnson has said that they are halfway done filming Episode 8. Now, to me, this is exciting news as a Star Wars fan, because if they're halfway done filming already, that means they're probably going to finish filming somewhere near the end of the summer, so August, early September. And then what happens is they have over a year to do editing, to do CGI, to do reshoots, and that just means this film is going to be edited well. Now, if you don't know what I mean by edited well, look at Batman v Superman. Now, I loved the movie. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, but it was not edited well. I think that DC rushed this movie, and they didn't have to. They should have put it back a little more, done some better editing, and that's what's not going to happen with Star Wars 8, because they're going to have tons of time to do this. So as a Star Wars fan, I am super excited. So our next story then is StarWarsNews.net, and these guys are the authority on Star Wars news. They have reported that Rian Johnson had input into Claudia Gray's book Bloodlines. Now this makes perfect sense in the new canon universe for Star Wars. You need to have the directors of the films having input into these books, because they're going to tell a story later on in a movie, and it has to be continuous and canon. Now, they got rid of a whole bunch of the old books, the Legends stuff, and they did that for a reason. They didn't want to be tied down by all of this other stuff that was written by so many authors that didn't have any say in the movies, which I'm good with, because I want to see all these new Star Wars stories. And if you're a geek like me, and you probably are if you're watching this show, you love the fact that there is all this continuity with Star Wars, and maybe you're at the theater with a friend that isn't so up to date on their Star Wars news, and you can help fill them in, and you feel kind of smart. So that's how I feel. I'm really happy to hear this, that the directors are having input into these novels. So then we get into Daisy Ridley. If you are not following Daisy Ridley on Instagram, you have to start. Now, this woman is beautiful. She's strong, she's independent, and she plays Rey in the exact same way. On Instagram this week, she released a video of her training in sword fighting, and I am telling you, this girl is in shape. I think she'd kick my ass no problem. And she's got guns, and she's fighting, and these are like lightsaber battles from the prequels. Not as well choreographed, but I don't like them to be super choreographed. I want to see a little bit of mistakes like it would be in a real lightsaber battle in a real sword fight. But it's going to be a much better sword fight than any laser battles that we got in Episode 7. She's going to be training with Luke. She's going to be a better swordsman, better lightsaber dueler, and this makes me excited. Rian Johnson is really going into the Star Wars lore about Jedis and how good they were with their lightsabers. So that's fantastic. So that is it for Star Wars news this week. I know Star Wars news usually takes up a lot of my show, but this week it isn't, because so much has happened in sci-fi movie news. So let's start with Lara Croft Tomb Raider Reboot. Alicia Vikander has been cast as Lara Croft. Now, this is a good move. She's a great actress, but I really wanted Daisy Ridley to play Lara Croft, and I think she could have fitted in between her Star Wars stuff. That just for me would have been amazing. But if it can't be Daisy Ridley, I'm happy it's Alicia Vikander. Now, Alicia Vikander was in movies like Ex Machina, where she did an amazing job, and she was also in the movie, let me just see, I have my notes here. She was also in the movie The Danish Girl, which I haven't seen, but I heard she stole the show. So again, Alicia Vikander, great actress, great portrayal. Now, I liked the original Lara Croft movies, loved Angelina Jolie in them, but I'm excited to see Alicia Vikander play Lara Croft. I like what they're doing with some of the reboots. If you watched my last week's episode, weekly show number 4, I had 2 guests on, Jason and Brian. And Brian is a huge Star Trek expert. And he's not happy with the reboots of Star Trek at all. He is a Star Trek originalist and doesn't really enjoy these reboot movies. I do. I don't mind them at all. I think that they're well done. And I think they had to reboot the universe and have the alternate reality so they could tell new stories and make it different. But he does not think that. Again, go back and watch Weekly Show number 4 if you want to see his rant on it. He calls J.J. Abrams Jar Jar Abrams. And if you want to see why, go back and watch it. So our next story is a new behind-the-scenes featurette for the upcoming X-Men Apocalypse movie has been released. You can go on this video. It's on the internet right now, and you can see all behind-the-scenes footage of X-Men. I have never been a huge X-Men fan, but I am excited to see this movie, and they have confirmed that Wolverine will be in this movie. So that makes me excited because I like the Wolverine movies, and I don't know what it is about Marvel, though. I'm not a fan of the X-Men, I'm not a fan of the Avengers movies, but I love the standalone movies. I love Iron Man, I love Captain America, I love Thor, and I loved Wolverine. So all of those movies were great. Again, I know it's not a popular thing to say, but not a huge fan of the Avengers movies. Now, speaking of X-Men, the final trailer dropped this week, and I watched it, and you know what? It's a great trailer. So, again, I'm going into this movie with an open mind. When it is released, I'm definitely going to see it on opening weekend so that I can put up a review on it, and we'll see where that goes. Again, not a huge X-Men fan, so I can't really talk much more than what I've read, and looking forward to seeing it. So now let's get into our next story, which is a huge announcement. Sony and Marvel announced they're going to be working out a deal to bring Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now this is super exciting. Now I reported last week that Marvel had paid Sony a boatload of money so that they could put Spider-Man in their 3 movies, which is Captain America Civil War and then the 2 Avengers movies. Well, I guess there was more to it than was released, because now we're finding out that they are acquiring the rights so that they can use Spider-Man in all of their movies and be in charge of the new Spider-Man standalone movie. This is good news for me. I was not happy that Sony had the rights to Spider-Man. I liked some of the pre-done Spider-Man movies, but I know Marvel will take Spider-Man to the next level. This is great. I'm excited. I'm happy. I like Spider-Man. So if you were wondering about Spider-Man, because I know a lot of people were, now you have the scoop. And we go into our next story, which makes me a little bit sad. It's about Comic-Con, and 20th Century Fox has said they will not be showcasing anything in Hall H this year at Comic-Con. Now, this is not surprising, as Fox pulled out last year, and they said it didn't affect them. Now, 20th Century, who pulled out last year? Somebody else pulled out last year, but Fox is pulling out this year. I think it was Warner Brothers might have pulled out, but I'm going to have to find out. Sorry, folks. But we do have Fox confirming they're pulling out this year. They're not going to be in Hall H. And we are hearing rumors that Disney and Marvel will not be at Comic-Con next year. So Comic-Con has their work cut out for them to make sure that they're staying relevant, because pretty soon all of the big movie franchises are not going to be there anymore. Disney has D23, so they're doing their own thing. I'm assuming Warner Brothers is setting up their own thing. And we're going to be seeing Comic-Con take a big hit, because if you don't have all those big names in Hall H doing the panels and doing the trailer releases and the movie lineups, that's what a lot of people go for. I know they still go for the exposition and all of the buying and the costumes, and that's still going to be cool. But D23 is starting to move up in the world, especially since they bought Star Wars. And if Star Wars wasn't at Comic-Con, this would be a huge hit. So, we go into our next story, which is when the first trailer of Marvel's Doctor Strange debuted, most fans were happy and excited to see it. Now we have rumors that Tilda Swinton's casting as the Ancient One is not getting great reviews. They're saying that this was a poor casting. I personally saw the trailer for Doctor Strange. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. I am excited to see this movie, and I don't think it's going to have one iota of difference in the movie. I think the Benedict Cumberbatch can carry a movie. He looks amazing in this role, and the trailer looked amazing, so I'm excited to see this. I don't think it's a big deal. Let me know what you think in the comments below if I'm downplaying this story, but I don't think that I am. So now we get into 20th Century Fox has released the final trailer for X-Men Apocalypse. And they were showing a lot more of what we expected in the May 27th release. So, including information about Wolverine, as I said before, other little tidbits, and it looks like this is going to be fantastic. So, again, super excited Wolverine's in this movie. Super excited to see it. I hope that they do a better job than they did in Avengers. Now, I watched Game of Thrones this last weekend, and I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. I know it's not sci-fi movie news, but I really thought it was important to mention this. Game of Thrones is now away from the books. There are no more books, so they're on their own for storylines, and I'm excited about this because we're going to get all new stuff, and I had read some of the books, so some of the things that happened in Game of Thrones, the TV show, were already spoiled for me. Now there's no more spoilers. Jon Snow is dead, or is he? We don't know. We're going to find out. He could come back as a Night Walker. The Dark Princess could bring him back to life some other way. We don't know, but he's such a big character in this movie. And again, I don't put it past Game of Thrones to leave him dead because they've done it with so many other cool characters on that show. But this episode was exactly what I wanted out of a season premiere for Game of Thrones. It had excitement, it had nakedness, it had fights. It was great. And if you're not watching Game of Thrones, go back, watch seasons 1 through 5 because season 6 looks like it's going to be amazing. Now, I want to finish this show off by talking about Captain America Civil War. We are less than a week away, and I got to tell you, I am so excited. Last time I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, it had 100% rating. I can't remember the last time I saw a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. All of the critics are saying it's the best superhero movie ever made. I can't wait to find out if it is or not, and I'm going to see it on Thursday night, opening night, and as soon as I get home, I am going to do a non-spoiler review of Captain America Civil War. Then I'm going to go see it again on Saturday, I believe, and hopefully by Monday or Tuesday have a spoiler review up so I can tell you, I'm a big DC guy, but I will tell you whether or not I thought this was the best superhero movie ever. And I'm going in this movie with, I think, a little bit higher expectations than I usually do with a movie just because of all the people talking about it and saying how great it is. When that happens, you kind of have to go in with some high expectations. I was hearing people giving it a 9 out of 10 that never give 9s out of 10. I think John Campea gave it a 9 out of 10. And to get a 9 out of him, it is pretty tough. He even said on his review, he might think that this is some of the best action scenes, not just in a comic book movie, but in any movie ever released. So he is a very biased critic. And for him to say that, I'm super excited. So can't wait to see it. Again, I am going to go see this movie Thursday, drop a non-spoiler review. Hopefully it'll be up Friday. Then I'm going to go see it again on Saturday. Do a full spoilers review next week. Probably come up just after I put up my weekly show number 6 next week. This is weekly show number 5. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Mike. I'm the Sci-Fi Movie Guy. You can email me at sci_fi_movieguy@yahoo.ca, and any emails that I receive I will read on the air. And then you can also follow me on Twitter, please. I am at Movie Guy Sci-Fi. Now remember, if you follow me on Twitter, I will follow you back. I follow back everyone that has anything to do with sci-fi, love, movies, reviewers. I follow you back. You follow me, please. Help out a good Canadian boy. get some followers on Twitter and get some more views on my YouTube channel. And finally, I'm throwing out a big shout out to my New York Islanders. I've been a New York Islanders fan since I was 6 years old, and they've made the second round of the playoffs, and they just beat Tampa Bay in their first game 4-1 quite handily. So I'm really excited for the Islanders. Go Islanders. And remember, everybody, nerds rule the world.